sunlight, roaring engines, headed somewhere in flight.
Being a pilot is a lot like being a business owner. Not only do you have the unique privilege of seeing everything from the 50,000-foot view, but you're also steering the ship, or plane rather. Of course, that comes with its own set of responsibilities. While you might have a trusty copilot in the cockpit with you, much of the onus of leadership falls on you, and that can be difficult to assert and navigate, especially if you're fresh out of flight school. Like young, bold pilots, many youthful leaders crash and burn, but some are able to walk away from the wreckage with a new perspective. Such was the case for Daniel Gott, co-owner of Ace Transmission in Springfield, Missouri. He started working in his family's shop at a young age, and that, along with a brief stint outside of the industry, has taught him many lessons about being a business owner and a leader. So I suppose you have a knack, or you have some experience seeing things from like the 50,000-foot level. You're a pilot. Mm-hmm. You know, tell me a little bit more about that. You know, what drove you to get your pilot's license?
You know, I've been asked that question a lot. I really don't know. I've just always been fascinated with airplanes since I was a little kid. No one in my family has any experience in aviation whatsoever, and just before COVID, I just decided to go do it and go get my private pilot's license. So, you know, we did that, and it took me about a year to get my private, but it's been it gives you a lot of things in life is like aviation. You can relate a lot of things back to it. So it's been a very good experience, and I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah, well, and so I like the fact that you did it before COVID. I think post-COVID, everyone has that whole YOLO, you only live once mentality, but you kind of had that before COVID. That's really cool.
Yep.
So, well, and you even flew yourself out here to see us. How was that trip?
It was great. It was a smooth ride all the way here. So not even so much as a hiccup on the way here.
Excellent. So let's start talking about you and your place in the transmission industry here. Your family has quite a bit of history in it. Can you tell us more about that and how you kind of fit in there?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just start at the beginning. My grandfather had a general auto repair business in Southern California, and they did a few transmission jobs there. Long story short, my dad moved back to Missouri where he met my mom, and he went to work for Weirco, which later became Aaron's Automotive, and then he saved up $1,200. Actually sold a Mercury Bobcat for $1,200. That's how he came up with the money, and him and my mom, and they started Ace Transmission in 1981 in Springfield. We've moved several times. I couldn't tell you all the locations, but we started basically in a one-bay shop.
Okay.
And you know, over the years we've just kept growing, and I would say my dad's a visionary as well. Now we have a 23-bay shop and a 52,000 square foot remanufacturing facility. We're doing about 100 transmissions a week there. I have about 65, maybe 70 employees in total. That's kind of the short version of the entire story, but you know, I guess I could go on to say I worked at the family business right out of high school, through high school. Honestly, I don't like building transmissions. I know how. I built a lot of them, but I decided to go do something different. I started my own business for about 6 or 7 years, and it didn't work out. And had the opportunity to go back to work for my mom and dad and run the family business. So.
Okay. So I just want to go back there a little bit. You said you got out of the transmission industry, opened your own business there. What kind of business was that, and what did you learn from it not working out?
So we were in the trucking business. We had 13 over-the-road semi-trucks. We did all refrigerated freight, hauled a lot of produce and frozen chicken out of Southwest Missouri. So Tyson's and things of that nature. You know, I went into that business with the assumption that most people are mechanically inclined like me. And my first truck was a 98 model Freightliner, and it had 3 million miles on it. And when something broke on it while it was on the road, while I was driving it, I could fix it or limp it home or, you know, make it work. And, you know, I started the business with about $100,000. That I would have to back up to tell you how I got that. But anyway, I started with $100,000, and after 7 years, I left about $200,000 in debt. And I decided that, or had the assumption that most people was like me and could just, you know, fix it, and they couldn't. So, but I bought, I don't know, a bunch of old worn out trucks just like that one, and I couldn't make it work. And me and my wife later on moved on and bought new trucks, and we started making money. But I had the opportunity to go back to work at the family business, and it was just such a huge opportunity. I you know, I couldn't turn it down. So.
Right, absolutely. So, well, and speaking of working at a family business, what, you know, I mean, what draws you to that? What are the pros? What are the cons? I know there are both.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of pros. I mean, one, I get to carry on my family's legacy. My dad, well, mom and dad have, you know, they're both basically retired now. But they've worked really, really hard for 42 years, and that's my responsibility to carry that on. And that's heavy to carry every day, knowing what they've built, what we've built together. And you know, you're always just one wrong move from losing it all every day.
Right.
So that's probably the biggest con. The pros are endless. You know, I get to do things like this. I can, you know, people ask me about work-life balance. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in a work-life blend. If I need to do something in the middle of the day at 3 o'clock, I do it in the middle of the day at 3 o'clock. But also, if I need to do work at 9 o'clock at night, I do work at 9 o'clock at night. So I just do what I have to do when I have to do it. I don't necessarily have a schedule. So that's a huge pro. You know, I'm very flexible that way. So
yeah, there you go. I know flexibility with work is basically what everyone wants nowadays. So
Yep.
Very cool. So on that note, what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
Well, it's the ability to change the world. You know, most of my employees think that I'm crazy, I think, when I say that. But I have a organization or a mentor, if you will, and I've developed the idea from that you can't change the world without being able to write a check. You can't help cure cancer without being able to write a check. You can't do anything. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. It is the way it is. You have to be able to write a check to change anything. And that's how I want to change the world. You know, I want all my employees to retire a millionaire. That's something I teach on all the time, investing in 401k and profit sharing. We have profit sharing at our company, and it's very important to me that all of our employees have the ability to be able to write a check if they need to.
I think that's amazing. You being able to invest all of that time and energy in helping your employees help themselves. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
So what is your favorite part of the job?
You know, I get to do something different all the time. I'm constantly working on a different project or a new thing or a new piece of equipment or figuring out how to make a process faster or, you know, we're talking about opening another store here pretty soon. So I'm all the time, I get to do something different almost every day. So that's the best part of it. I don't have to do the same thing day in and day out.
Okay. Now, what obstacles are you having to overcome currently?
Well, you know, the workforce is a huge obstacle. It's definitely tough to find people that really want to invest their, you know, I don't know the word for it, but invest their life, I guess, into one thing. And I think people just see that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, and they just jump from thing to thing to thing to thing, and they never just stick it out with one thing, you know? I mean, it's work. No matter where you go, it's not gonna be rainbows and butterflies every day, you know?
Right.
You gotta do the hard stuff. So, the workforce is the biggest challenge, you know. So we have a lot of employees that's been with us well over 20, 30 years, and a lot of them that's been there well over a decade. It's the new folks that's coming in that they seem like the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, you know, constantly jumping ship. And you can see it when you look at their applications, you know, job to job to job to job every 6 to 12 months. So.
Yeah, that does seem to be the trend with the newer generations, always looking for the next opportunity, you know, for more money, for growth, for whatever reason it is, out of boredom. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when I started working for my dad, I started in teardown, and I didn't start at the top. And it seems like everybody wants to start at the top, and I've done every job. I've scrubbed, shoveled crud out of oil separator pits and tore down transmissions and crawled in the bottom of washing machines and come out, you know, black head to toe. And I've done all that. And it's just like, you know, can I start off as a manager in this department? Okay. Which end of the transmission is the input shaft in? I don't know. Well, you can't start there, you know.
Right.
I mean, you gotta work your way up. So
yeah, you have to pay your dues.
yeah, and we have a couple of people that's in management position at a reman plant that have worked their way up. So I'm not saying that everybody's that way, but
Right.
There's a few young folks there that I'm super proud of.
Absolutely. So speaking of, you know, being young and working your way up through the company, you became a leader at a very young age. What sort of challenges did that present?
You know, I have become a leader at a young age, and when you have to tell somebody, I've never had a problem telling somebody what to do or disciplining somebody or something of that nature that's younger than me. But when you have to do it to somebody that's older than you, it always gave me a lot of anxiety. So I just tried to bury that and play face and just speak my piece and move on. So I'm over that now, it doesn't bother me. But when I first started having a management position, it was very tough. And I've learned a lot, you know, like, you know, I'd get angry, and I've learned that doesn't really do any good to get angry. I mean, you can be angry, but there's no point in venting at someone. But you're just gonna have to tell them the facts and move on. So,
Yeah.
and you know, make your expectations clear.
Did you ever get any pushback from being, you know, the younger one telling the older ones what to do?
You know, probably the thing that frustrates me the most is, you know, people come on board now, and I feel like they think that I've just had everything handed to me on a silver platter, And the people that's worked for us for 20, 30 years, they know I've done every job there. So they have that respect for me, but the newer folks, they think that, my parents own the company and I just lucked into this. And I'll assure you that my dad wouldn't have it that way. I had to work for where I've gotten to, so.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Ace Transmission, larger than your average transmission shop. You noted, 23 bays?
Yeah, we have 23 bays at our retail store. Yeah.
Okay, so, you said you're thinking of opening a new store. I mean, you keep growing. So how do you keep up with that growth?
We have just a level of managers that are over each department, each thing. So I have a plant manager, have a retail store manager. Those two folks, our CFO, my wife is a head of sales, and then my parents, we meet every week, and then each one of those folks meet with their departments every week as well, and that's how we communicate back and forth and make changes and things of that nature. It is tough. I go from meeting to meeting to meeting, and constantly switching gears. For example, yesterday morning, I started out at our retail store. I wore plain clothes yesterday. I got there about 10 minutes before they opened. I went and sat in the waiting room for 30 minutes just to hear what was being said at the counter. Talked to some customers, wanted to know what their feedback was. And they're prying, what do you do? Where do you work? Well, I had to tell them, but I didn't want them to know because I wanted to get feedback from them, just thinking I was another customer waiting to get my car worked on. I left there, I went to our plant, had to meet with our software developer about a couple projects he's working on making some, it runs all of our operations at our plant, our software that we built, and had to meet with him on some things that are coming down the pipeline there. Got done with that, and then moved on to the plant manager. After that, had another meeting with our dyno manager about getting another dyno in because we're way behind there and trying to figure. So, as you can see, it's just changing gears, changing gears, changing gears, changing gears all the time. So it's tough to keep up with, but I trust all those people, and they kind of keep things at a 30,000 foot view, if you will, and then I give them some guidance or direction, or say we can do this or we can't do that, or I think you're right, I think you're wrong, whatever, So, but they all know the end goal. We meet every 90 days, everybody in the company, we buy them all after work, we buy them all lunch or dinner, barbecue, something, that you can feed a large group of people with, but, we try to feed them good. And that meeting lasts a couple hours, and the whole purpose of that is every 90 days, we have a leadership meeting and then an off-site to get us where we want to go. We communicate that to our team, what the vision is, and try to keep them drilled back in on it every 90 days.
So I want to go back. You mentioned software developer.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me more about this software that you guys have.
Yeah, so when I went back to work for my parents in 2017, when I had the opportunity, my dad basically said, let's expand this, let's get bigger, let's do bigger things. And he said, we got to have some kind of software to do what we want to do. And there's not really anything out there. And I looked and researched a lot of different things, but that was honestly my first project to get started when I went back to work for them in 2017. And we built and developed a software that manages all of our inventory, our bill of materials, our cores, our invoicing. It does everything from start to finish. It gives all of our wholesale customers the ability to get on an online portal, see live inventory, do purchasing. It does packaging, it does dyno. It does everything.
Wow.
And anything you want to know about any transmission that's ever came through our doors, since that software went live in April 2020, we know everything about it. We know what vendor the core came from. We know if it's not a purchased core. We know the car that vehicle or that transmission came out of, the vehicle the transmission came out of. We know who built it. We know every part that's in it. We know who dynoed it. We know who built the torque converter. We know down to the penny how much we have in it. If there's a warranty claim on it, it just gives our people in the warranty department, you know, all the tools they need to go, yeah, I can see that this is a problem. No, it's not. They can see live dyno results uploaded to it. I mean, it has a lot of moving pieces, and I'm just hitting the highlights. So it's been a huge undertaking to develop software. It's not something I would recommend, honestly. I mean, it's a love-hate. I mean, we couldn't do it without it, but it's been a nightmare.
I believe that. Is there any chance of sharing that with other transmission shops, or
yeah? So we have several different. It's a sister company that sells the software, but we have several different transmission shops all over the country that's using that now. So
that's awesome.
There's probably more along the lines of small remans.
Okay.
That are using it, not necessarily a traditional transmission shop. You know, and I'll say something on that real quick.
Yeah.
We're not really a traditional transmission shop. Our 23-bay retail facility, they will do repairs on transmissions, but they're fairly limited. Mostly everything they do is taking a transmission out, ordering a transmission from the plant. It comes in a box and they put it in the car.
Okay.
And it keeps things rolling fast. Our store keeps probably around $200,000 worth of inventory, all the common part numbers, so they can keep our customers, they can get them on the road very quickly. I wouldn't say it's really a traditional transmission shop where we're taking a transmission out, rebuilding that transmission and putting it back in that car. That almost never happens.
Okay. So, and for me, I guess, can you then explain your remanufacturing side?
So our remanufacturing side houses several thousand cores, and then our software is predicting inventory and what we need, and you know, sales levels and things like that. So it's always trying to replenish inventory. So at the plant, and then our store keeps a separate inventory for themselves to keep those customers moving. So every transmission is brought in as a core. It's not an assembly line. Each builder is responsible for tearing down that core, and then that core goes off to wash. It gets washed and painted and inspected, and then they order every part number of every transmission, gets a 100% list, 100% of those parts changed every time. Then the builder can order anything extra they need in the software to get that transmission back up to specifications. Each transmission has a spec sheet, so to speak, so they're all built the same way. And then those parts are, so they'll order that at their workstation on the software, and then it'll print a PO in our parts department, and then there's people in there that will pick those orders and then send them out to the builder, so that they never really leave their workstation. Then they will build that transmission from start to finish. Once they get done with it, then it will go to dyno to get tested.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for taking us through that process.
Yeah.
All right. So, you know, we've talked about the software as one technological, you know, advantage that you guys have. Is there any other new technology you guys have integrated into the business?
You know, we have several different softwares that run our dynos. We use TechMetric for our shop management system at our retail store. It works very well. Allows us to see profitability per job. You know, one thing that just that we found over the last several years is looking at gross profit per hour instead of gross profit percentages. You can't pay your bills with percentages. You got to pay them with dollars.
Yeah.
So it's and TechMetric does a very good job at showing us that at the retail shop.
Okay. All right. So Dan, what does your professional legacy look like?
Oh man, you know, I just want to get to a place that all of our employees, like I previously mentioned, said Dan provided us a pathway. He didn't do it for us, and he didn't do it single-handedly, but he provided a pathway for us to become a millionaire. And that's my biggest goal in the business. And you know, I don't necessarily want to be the biggest. I really have no desire to do that, but I would like to be the best. So I'd like to have the lowest warranty rate, and I would like to have the recognition like, hey, those guys at Ace, they know what they're doing. Buy a transmission from them.
Flying a biplane is different from flying a commercial jetliner. While you use the same fundamental skills to fly both aircraft, the sheer difference in size and type require different handling. The same goes for growing a business. Daniel Gott has helped Ace Transmission grow by leaps and bounds in the past several years, and it's come with plenty of challenges. But there are other challenges on the horizon that he's keeping an eye on. Join us on the next episode of Vehicle Care Rockstars to learn Dan's take on the headwinds facing the transmission industry and the tailwinds driving it forward. All right, Dan, we're going to play a little game called B-Sides to get to know you better. I'm going to give you a series of choices, and you tell us which ones you prefer. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Now, I understand you enjoy riding all types of vehicles, on land, sea, and air. So let's find out about that. Would you cruise in a convertible or on a motorcycle?
Motorcycle.
Okay. Harley Davidson or Indian?
Harley Davidson.
What do you ride?
Harley Street Glide.
Okay. Where's your dream ride?
I've always wanted to ride out I-40, come back on I-70 or something like that, and ride the coast to California.
Oh, that would be nice, yeah. Okay. Dirt bike or ATV?
10 years ago, dirt bike, now probably ATVs.
All right. As far as ATVs go, would you do a Suzuki King Quad or a Honda 4Trax Rincon?
Honda 4Trax.
Okay. Camp in an RV or a tent?
RV.
All right. Go fishing or cruising?
Probably cruising.
Okay. What kind of boat do you own?
It's just a pontoon boat, tri-tune.
Okay, nice. Drive or fly?
Fly.
Ah, favorite airplane to fly?
Probably a Piper product.
Okay. And have you ever done a barrel roll?
I have not.
Okay. Do you plan to?
I do.
Oh, nice. Okay. I want to see that when that happens.
Okay, my wife thinks I'm crazy, but yes, I do want to do that. So.
Excellent. All right. Now, this is Vehicle Care Rockstar, so let's move on to your musical tastes. Classic country or modern country?
Classic.
Willie Nelson or Merle Haggard?
Merle Haggard.
George Strait or Garth Brooks?
George Strait.
Would you go to a Taylor Swift concert?
Probably not.
Okay. Classic rock or modern rock?
Classic rock.
Hard rock or soft rock?
I like them both.
Okay. Foreigner or Journey?
Journey.
Okay. The Eagles or Fleetwood Mac?
Probably Eagles by a small margin.
Oh, okay. Okay. First concert you attended?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. Probably like a Route 66 festival. I think it was a bunch of country music artists. I
Nice.
was pretty young.
Last concert you attended?
I think it was Journey.
Oh, nice. Excellent. I approve. Best concert you attended?
Probably the Merle Haggard tribute concert when he passed away, because there was a bunch of different artists there from all different genres of music singing Merle Haggard songs in rap and in rock, and it was very interesting.
Wow. Very cool. Well, Dan, you're a rock star. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.